I can give you a mic. You want to have a mic? I don't know.
Yeah, because then I can toss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Can these both be on at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and remember, if you guys have any questions, you can go see Tim at the McAfee table as well. So, thanks. Okay, our next Turbo Talk is going to be, well, who's speaking? Okay. I'm going to give both. They both get to speak.
And our friend from McAfee is wrong. I do have the solution to everything right here. So we're going to talk about that. Really?
I don't know.
Huh. Um,
Okay. All right.
my name is Kat, and this is Corbin. We are glad to be here as always. We love our Hawaiian friends. We're actually a consulting company that focuses on finding emerging technologies written by really smart engineers who figured out how to automate the impossible or seeming impossible. We have a history of bringing that solution, those proven emerging solutions, to market at some very large companies and infrastructures within the U.S. We've got lots of experience, even though we look freakishly young, so don't underestimate us. One of the things we wanted to talk to is we have our partnership here today with RedSeal Networks. I've seen a lot of faces there already, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. But one of the things we also came out to Hawaii to talk about is one of our new relationships with CPay and how that basically takes out or reduces the PCI scope exponentially. One of the clients that we worked with CPay was Lufthansa. Is that him? And we were able to reduce their PCI level from 1 to 2, and it saved them 40 million euros a year just by reducing the scope. So, you know, maybe it's not the panacea, but it's awful close. I don't know where you're at there, bro. Do you mind if I poke around here for a sec? Okay. So basically, what this isn't working. So Hawaii. Our buddy Todd from RedSeal is on Hawaiian time, so we expect him in about an hour, but he was supposed to do this preso, so we put this together in like 6 minutes, so just give me 1 second. So basically, a little bit about CPay. CPay Link was started by a company who was brought out to Deutsche Bank to reduce fraud. There are a lot of financial companies here today, banks, so you know what it feels like when fraud hits, when credit cards have to be reissued. It seems like no big deal. But it's extremely costly. If anybody's doing any kind of online e-commerce, shipping, internet fees, all that stuff is really high. So the creators of Bing, I'm a Google girl, he knows that, but we work with it. The creators of Bing actually were brought in because their big skill set is business process optimization and big data analytics. They were able to come into Deutsche Bank and reduce fraud by 25%. Now, how they get paid is that they get to participate in the profit sharing or cost savings. And so you can imagine Deutsche Bank, the world's largest financial institution, 25% of that was pretty good money. So partly how they were also paid was by being introduced to 92 other banking institutions, and that's where this particular solution started. So what CPay Link does is it actually creates direct connections this is such an interesting place to start all of this, I just got to tell you. But it creates direct banking relationships with merchant payment providers. So it takes out the middleman is basically what it does, and it creates direct banking connections. And at the point at which that credit card or mobile payment or whatever is taken, it actually tokenizes the data. So that reduces your PAN network, your credit card data, and it integrates it into the ERP system. So that does a lot of different things. If there's any financial people here or anyone who's ever had to do reconciliation for any kind of mobile or credit card payment, the merchant payment providers count on you not doing that well or often. And so the first thing we do is we actually come in and do an audit, and we did a university in California. And we just took a look at the kinds of fees they were paying, card not present, non-PCI compliant. And oh, by the way, don't we all become PCI compliant because we want to reduce our fees? Nobody ever gets reduced fees, but that's why we're all running around like chickens with our head cut off, right? Forgetting about actual security and just doing compliance checks. But when you actually look at what you're paying, what your company is paying, you guys are still getting gouged for PCI non-compliance. So enjoy the audits, but they're not quite paying off just yet. Just telling you. And then if you get a breach, of course, those things are ridiculously expensive, but we don't have to tell you that. Anyway, we did an audit of this university, just 6 months worth of transactions, and found that they thought they were paying like 2%, and they were paying 13% on every transaction. It actually cost them 10 cents every time somebody made a copy at the machine. So it was interesting because it was almost like a money shredder, not a printer. It was like the opposite of what they were going for there with printing. So, and charging for printing. So it would have been cheaper for the university to actually do printing for free. So anyway, so what we do is our first step is we come in and we take a look at what you're currently paying, and then we go out and barter for you and and get actually direct banking relationships. And then we put in the secured gateway, which is actually, it is PCI. It is literally attacked constantly, and it is compliant. And then, of course, you guys don't have any credit card data in your network anymore moving forward. So we reduce that scope, and it's kind of like stopping the bleeding while enhancing business. And it's the first technology part, like as somebody who comes in and brings solutions to people, I actually don't have to ask for money. Like maybe $4,000 to $10,000 to put in, and the rest is just, So I'm like, hey, can I reduce your PCI footprint, your cost of doing business, give you more profit, and it'll cost you like $6K? Is that cool, or should I, that's literally the conversations we have. So it's actually kind of fun. And for me, I'm a security purist, so the compliance running around is really frustrating, because I actually like to protect things that matter. But it doesn't seem like, spending all of our time just making sure that somebody can't see a credit card that's probably already been compromised is a good use of time. So for me, I like it because then I can focus on actually protecting the things that matter. So with that, that's actually why we partnered with RedSeal, because once you take advantage of not having credit card data in your network anymore, we have to clean it up. And so what RedSeal does is it actually does a network map by taking in all of your layer 3 devices and mirroring that with your vulnerability data, which gives you the ability to see in real time and in constant monitoring what your network infrastructure looks like. So there's a case study done by Cisco, Cisco who owns obviously a lot of layer 3 devices, and when they first imported all of their ACLs from their layer 3 devices, this is what it looked like. So for the rest of you who have a network map that's something like this, right? It's either going to look like this, or it's going to have the big fluffy cloud with a big firewall. And you're like, here's my Visio. That's my network. It's like, yeah, you got one of those? Yeah. So, so basically, what RedSeal does is it allows you to start cleaning up, putting things in zones and whatnot. So you'll notice too, the other nice thing about this Cisco bug splat is what they called it, is that you've got all these really fun snowflakey things. You're like, what are those? Who do they belong to? I'm sure you don't have any networks or any devices that you're unaware of, but if you were, we could help you find a home for them. So obviously, and with the kind of turnover and lack of people available, keeping up to date, and and it's like business is always saying, can you open that hole? I need that web server up, and hey, we have a new business partner, and my favorite, hey, we just acquired a company and we got to give them the keys to the house. And you have no idea who they'd been with and who they gave the keys to and what their behavior was before, but oh, hey, come on in, join the family. So it's a way for you to even see prior to them coming on, you can onboard them in a safe and concise fashion. So back to this weird bug splat.
I got it.
Oh, thank you. So the bug splat. So basically, the different things and there's some actual really good pictures at the table. This was a case study. Vendors, they like to use the same things over and over again. And then they know the stories really well, but I forget sometimes. Anyway, so these are the network segments. So this was an interesting thing that Cisco found out about themselves. There was one rule set permission. Let's do that one. Nope.
Oh, no.
There we go. There was one particular rule set that they thought, okay, so you've got, these were their business partners, right? And they thought that they were all segregated from their network. Well, so one of the things that RedSeal does is it actually, it does like best practices and, default passwords and all that other stuff. But the other thing it does is it shows, hey, by the way, this one rule that's buried in all this line of code has actually allowed, and I think it was like a, do you remember what the permission was? I don't know. Anyway, Todd would know. They basically, by one rule set that was on all those firewalls guarding their network, allowed all their business partners into their network. So, and that was something, you know, they would not have known with some kind of automation. So that was kind of fun. Clearly, they've cleaned it up, or they wouldn't have allowed us to know that at this juncture. But there's the CISO actually on, if you YouTube RedSeal and Cisco, he'll actually go through all of that. And it's a pretty fascinating thing. They're a wonderful referral partner for them as well. So, the BYO, we've had this discussion, right? The BYOD deployment, everybody's feeling that. You know, everybody's bringing in 2-3 devices per individual. If you're a campus, it's like the gaming and the phone and the smartphone and the computer and all that. So that's a big one. We were talking about with, you know, I'm looking for a picture here. Hold on one second.
You're not.
Okay. I want to do the ingress and egress, but we don't seem to have that here.
No.
Okay. Let me show you. This doesn't have the pretty boxes that I was looking for, but once you can actually map. Yeah, sorry, you're going to give you guys, it's like I'm driving, it's going to make you dizzy. Once you map out your infrastructure here, yeah, it doesn't have the one that we have out there.
No.
You can start asking the model, a lot of really interesting questions. So the other thing you can start doing is creating these zones. And so you can say, if anything changes in this zone, if any permission changes in this zone, show me right away what made it non-compliant. So you can actually start segregating visually all of that. And with PCI, this next version coming out, they're going to be really hot and heavy about you guys knowing exactly, you know, what's in compliant, what's not, and how it got and or stayed that way. So that's a big one. And if you guys come to the booth, I'll show you a little bit more about the compliance states, which is pretty nice. It's a nice rolling snapshot. All right, let's go to the next one. Outsourced networks, if any of you guys are doing any kind of co-managing, sometimes you basically just hand off to AT&T or HP. Hi, thanks. You know, I want to make this change in the network. This is actually a tool that you can use for virtual pen testing. So you can say, okay, if we make this change, what vulnerabilities are open, what needs to be changed first, which network vulnerabilities are actually leapfroggable, and you can do, you can ask it questions like, what is the,
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the thing that actually shows that. Next time we'll know he's going to be late. So this thing here is kind of fun. So these are like compromised hosts, right? So it's basically showing you, here's your network. It's basically showing you that these
network.
assets are leapfroggable vulnerabilities, and from there we can simulate what it can get to into the network all the way in through your DMZ. So you can even do like if-then statements and just find out like, you know, how bad is this allowing gonna work for us? So, or how bad is that gonna affect us? Or what do we, you know, we don't wanna say no to the businesses because then they get mad at us all the time. So now it's like no, or it's yes, but not yet. Yes, we'll allow that change to happen, but first we need to fix these 5 things. You know, the other nice thing about that, if you have any antiquated software running old versions of Windows or what have you, or even your Oracle and your SAP apps, you don't want to patch those with every latest and greatest patch because chances are it's going to take the thing down. So the nice thing is that even though those vulnerabilities might be showing up time and time again, you can show visually that your compensating controls are actually working. So you can say, hey, look, yeah, I know it's got a vulnerability, but look, it's behind here and nothing can touch it. Nothing can take advantage of that vulnerability because it's behind these firewalls and there's no access inbound or outbound. You can ask it questions like, what is the access to this asset from the internet, to the internet, from this to that? There's a really nice kind of quick and easy slide here at the end. So this thing is interesting because, you know, from the untrusted network, there are 31 hosts that are leapfroggable, and behind that is 110 hosts that could be affected by it, right? And then you've got 31 hosts that are completely protected. And so it allows you to drill down into all of that. So whether you have, you know, PCI or federally regulated industries or anything like that, it allows you to actually, in real time, not have to rely on tribal knowledge to understand your network. And it's not like the latest Visio that's out of sync the second you hand it to somebody or get it off the printer. This is actually constant monitoring. So you just create service accounts. It goes out and grabs the configs every day, so you know if somebody made a change while you were sleeping, and puts that in with the latest vulnerability scan that you have. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We could go on for a long time. It does do it spits out a 1.2 report for you, so you can do that pre-audit, which is kind of nice because the 1.2 can be kind of a challenge to fill out, and that's a canned report. It does rely on NIST standards and risk modeling to actually determine it, so it's not just the information from the vendors. It's actually a lot more, a lot of outside information that shows you what's really at risk and why. So lots of different ways to get into the weeds on this. So if you have any more questions, come and see us in the back. We're the ones with the monkeys. Okay? Cool. Any questions? No? Okay, good. Okay, good. Good. Do I have two more?